Thank you all so much for being here. It's nice to hear stuff this way. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have you guys here and do this.
Bang, bang.
This was a body of work that started to really take shape in late 2020. I knew I wanted to make an album, and so I think then within the ramifications of that, is it a long album? Is it a short album? Is it songs I've been saving for years? Is it songs I'm going to start writing today? I think the common thread among these songs was this sort of anxiety and sort of like nostalgic melancholy thing that started to kind of show itself more and more, and it started to be these sort of these companion pieces of material of I'd be saying something about this part of my life and what I was thinking about, and then there'd be another song that was sort of the missing link on that. So they became this kind of bigger picture to me. There's a song on this album called Only a Lifetime that, from a digging down into the core of who I feel like I am as a person, this is what I've been trying to say forever. And also this is what I'm trying to do. The chorus of that song is, don't waste the time you have waiting for time to pass. I struggle to do that all the time. I think, whatever that is, if I'm looking forward to something, or if I'm dreading something, or if I'm bored, it's so easy for me to, let a day kind of drift by without being very present. That song was important for me to write to me.
Do you ever start writing a song for yourself and realize it's not for you?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
How do you determine that it's for you and when it's not?
Well, the ones that are for me are couldn't be for anybody else. Really deeply
personal.
Specific personal. Personal is a funny thing, right? You could say that When the Party's Over is a very personal song to me, but it wasn't super it was kind of ambiguous. So those are the ones that are obviously I'll keep these because they're referencing Break My Heart Again was the first one when I was writing with other people where I was this one is for me because it's got all this kind of super specific timeline stuff. And then the other one is writing songs for other people where they would never be for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My Strange Addiction was always for Billy. That was for her. Lonely was always for Justin. That one was bespoke. That was about his life for him. And it's not gonna go to somebody else.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the different baskets that the eggs go in. I quantify my success as a producer based on how well I'm putting the song across, And so I think to me ultimately the Concert 6 Months From Now production, which starts with this sort of you can hear the murmur of a crowd at an amphitheater swelling and then collapsing into nothing, and then the band coming in for 15 seconds in the middle. As a producer, I'm very proud of that song.
I've noticed in a lot of your songs you use kind of non-traditional sounds, so the diner or the crickets in the field. So I guess my question is, do you just record sounds all the time and get inspiration from those, or you write a song and you're that would be cool, here's a diner sound?
Good question.
Is there a method to it?
A lot of the time, whether it's just my phone or a super cheap little recording device, I'll just kind of go on a walk and bring it and record sort of noise. Or if I'm going somewhere that's I think might sound interesting. And I do think there's also a romance in that. Rain sounds really pleasant to listen to, so do crickets, whatever. In a case like The Kids Are All Dying, that song is so kind of cynical, and it's about me and all my friends not changing the world and feeling bad about it. And so I had this goofy idea of I wanted it to sound like we were at brunch. That was my fantasy, because brunch is full of apathetic douchebags, especially in LA. It's just mostly you're doing people watching at brunch, I think I liked the idea of people laughing and clinking their knives on their plates and shit and singing about the end of the world. Great question. So this is, I don't know if this is a cool room. There's speakers everywhere underneath all of the foam. So there's speakers in all the walls and in the ceiling and stuff. So, I feel if you're watching any like new stuff about music, you're hearing a lot about Atmos, and it's like they're implementing it slowly on like headphones and on Amazon Alexas and stuff like that. But really, you know, in terms of like the best way you could possibly hear it, it's in a place like this where it's all actually built into the room. So I don't know if any of you could see this screen where there was all the little green dots kind of floating around. My fantasy is that you're standing in the middle of like the rehearsal room, because that's the cool, like, unreplicatable thing about being a musician, is standing in the, you know, in a room full of other musicians and making music. Atmos, to me, I look at, you know, the way you might look at filming a movie in color instead of black and white. You know, it's this whole kind of science of minimalism, of gradients, you know, this single kind of scale. And I think, you know, you add color into a film and you just have a million more possibilities and a million more ways to articulate what you're trying to put across. And to me, that's like the way that I look at Atmos, of like, look at all these things we get to play with now on this song. Look at all these directions we can go. One of my favorite things about Atmos is that you can really sort of get a grasp in a way that you never otherwise could on all of the individual components that are within that sort of monster.
With your own isolated music career, what are you most insecure about and what are you most confident about?
That's great. That's a really good question. How long ago did you think of that question?
I'm a therapist's daughter.
The moment you were born.
Question ready.
Wow. I'll answer the easy one first, which is most confident. I think I'm a really good lyricist. But that's like, that to me is just like, I said what I was thinking and I made it rhyme, and I have done it for years, and I just feel good about that. I'm pretty insecure about my voice. And I think like, especially the first 2 years of making Billy's music, I was really insecure about my voice because I was like sort of always working with this like incredible singer. I think anything we're insecure about as people is because we're comparing whatever it is. So I think that's why that's a, like, I don't, like, Billy and I make such different music. We put on a very different show. Like there's so many areas where I'm not comparing what I do to her, but I think just as like a vocalist, like that was like a challenge.
Favorite song you've written for yourself and favorite song you've written for someone else?
Oh, great question. Favorite song I've written for myself. It's not even on this album, but I Lost a Friend is like my favorite song I've ever written. That was really how I was feeling. It was really made me feel better for having written it. That was meaningful to me. And then favorite song I've written that was not mine. Ocean Eyes, because it changed my life. Yeah, that one, like that changed my whole life. So yeah. It'd be disrespectul of me to say whatever song I might want to otherwise, because that one changed my life. Thank you all so much for being here. Yeah, thank you.